give it a couple of minutes, give it 2 minutes, and then we will kick things off. Hopefully people have got questions. Right. That's a pleasure. Okay, so look, I think hopefully you know either Chris or you know me. So we're the founders of enteles Search. We're based here in London. I presume if you're here, you know a little bit about us. So, and yeah, I'm not recovered actually. However, I presume if you're here, you know a bit about us, so I'll kind of spare everyone the sales pitch. So I think the question is, why are we doing this? Why am I missing lunch? I'm a 12 o'clock lunch man, and why am I missing lunch? It struck us both. There's a really good opportunity just to answer all those questions that kind of rack up over a process, be that around CVs, be that around LinkedIn or whatever. So whether you're looking for your kind of first job, maybe you're coming at the police or the military or something, or whether you're just experienced professional, hopefully we can help here. On a more personal level, I think it's also really good to hear what other people are thinking and be reassured that if there are elements of this whole job search or even the broader career development piece that you're finding tough, it's not just you, right? So you can hear people are going to ask questions that maybe you don't want to ask, and so on and so forth. So going forward, we'd love to create, and we've talked a lot about community, and hopefully we'll create a community going forward where people can interact, share their stories and experiences. But I can't wait to check out for that. So one day we'll figure that out. The aim is to do this regularly. I think we've got an hour set aside, but we might just fizz through this in 15 minutes, or it might take an hour, but that will be dictated by you guys. From our side, we're just going to do our best to help. If you want to follow up, then I'll put our email addresses in the chat, and you can reach out to us. So thank you to Beth for arranging everything. The tech seems to be standing up, which is awesome. And any questions? Please, someone kick it off. It's nice to see everyone.
This is when there's deathly silence, obviously.
Right. We haven't got. So look, I want to talk a bit about, I guess, how I see this market, how I see progression in this market, and just some general observations. For me, the market is very, very good at the moment. We've seen more movement at a regional level, arguably, than kind of ever before. Certainly in the UK, because the UK has historically been a really small market, so it's really cool to see that. I think, if you can take control of this process, then it's going to be, you're going to be in a really good place. Questions are coming through. It's been said that it's best to apply for a job directly through a company website rather than LinkedIn. Easy apply doesn't get recognized. Really interesting that. So I think in terms of how you apply, I think you can apply, you can do both, right? LinkedIn there's never been a better source of intel, right, for LinkedIn. So, if I was looking for a job, when I saw what I wanted on LinkedIn, I think we have to understand the landscape, okay? The landscape is that often internal functions are driving this, talent acquisition functions, and they're recruiting for lots of different things. So today they're recruiting for today they're recruiting for a director of security. Tomorrow they're recruiting for a widget maker, and on Monday they're recruiting for a window polisher. That means that when they come to market, they have to find what they need quite quickly. So we need to be in a position where if you reach out to them directly and you can cut through the noise, perhaps with the LinkedIn applications, because the volume these guys will receive for roles is huge. And we've pushed a couple of our own processes through LinkedIn ads, which we hadn't done before. And we got something like 370 applications, which is crazy. So if I were you, I found a job I liked on LinkedIn, I'd be popping a note to the CSO to say, hey, I'm looking, or to the regional, whoever it is, whatever the job is, find the line manager, pop them a note. I'd definitely pop a note through LinkedIn just because, you can tick that box, but I would undoubtedly be finding a more creative way to bring my kind of application to bear. Chris, I don't know if you think that's, I broadly agree with that. Hopefully.
No, that's fair. I think that applying via a company website is the kind of worst case scenario. Your CV is probably going to end up with some 20-something-year-old HR person who doesn't understand the nuances of your CV. So yeah, if you can get in touch with someone directly, that's half the battle.
Yeah. Relocation?
Yeah, Robert's asked about relocation. In fact, a couple of people have asked about relocation. So I would say more and more companies are looking at local nationals for jobs. So particularly if it's kind of country level, maybe as you get to a kind of regional head role, they will look at people relocating. Some locations, Switzerland, Dubai, Singapore, although the work permit issues are a bit of a challenge there at the moment. They're used to relocating people. As a Brit, trying to relocate to the US is a steaming nightmare. So it is a kind of country by country, company by company kind of scenario. But I wouldn't be put off if the job advert doesn't say won't support relocation. I wouldn't be put off applying. I'd just go for it. Otherwise, you're never going to get the chance. And in a kind of role reversal, Gary's asked about people overseas looking to come back to the UK. I just apply for the jobs as you would if you're in the UK and say that you're actively looking to come back. If you've got, a residence in the UK still, maybe just put that on your CV and say that you're based overseas at the moment. So,
and arguably, maybe it's me being, this might appear a little more slippery, but I don't think you have to put that, do you? You could probably just, if you're, for instance, if you're British and you're coming back to the UK, no one needs to know that you're not in the UK right now. We can have that conversation when you have that conversation, So yeah, I think it's make you right, Chris. I think there's a question around CV that I saw there. It just sticks out. CV. It's really hard to say. CV length limit. No one's won on the third page, Andrew. No one's won the second page. Everyone wins on the first page. So arguably, if it's 7 or 8 pages, that says something about how you maybe write reports or how you manage time, or has a kind of a deeper meaning. But I think 2 to 3 pages is fine. But no one's getting to the third page and going, thank goodness they've done that 25 years ago. So it is about, on the first page, it is about solving their pain. It is about hitting all the right metrics and measurables, using their right language. But you've got to do it on the first page. So yeah, 2 or 3 pages. I don't care. I think when it gets beyond that, it just gets a bit unwieldy in the main.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get kind of mid-career people who quite often do a 1-page CV, which tells you absolutely nothing. So you definitely need to give people the information, otherwise you're going to struggle. So
yeah. Eric, to ask a live question, just type it into the chat box on the right-hand side, or the comments box.
Theo has asked about avoiding cyber jobs. It's always a bit of a challenge. I think you've just got to up your Boolean search game and learn to use the not phrase. But yeah, we get asked about cyber jobs. Physical security guys get asked about cyber jobs all the time. There's a lot of people who just write not cyber in brackets on their CVs now to avoid that. But it's just the nature of the beast, really.
Brexit. We can't talk about Brexit, Susanna. It's really interesting around how many roles have come up in the UK. I've done this job for 24 years, and this year I've definitely done more regional roles from the UK than ever before. But that hasn't necessarily been a commensurate dip in regional roles based elsewhere. I just think there's been more in the UK for whatever reason. There's been more turnover. There are more organisations, in fact, creating functions from scratch, which is always really cool. So we've seen more of that, and they're just more businesses that have nothing at all. So yeah, it's just, I don't think it's a direct reflection of Brexit. I think it's just this year. Yeah, luck of the draw.
And we know jobs. I mean, not to kind of give the game away with what we hopefully have coming in, but we know of things coming in, hopefully in France and Germany and Spain and elsewhere. So there's definitely stuff elsewhere in the world. It's just luck of the draw, really. Oliver has asked an interesting one about, in essence, whether jobs posted on LinkedIn have already gone. I think
I've just seen that the questions come up on the screen. That's really cool.
That's me clicking.
Is that you?
Amazing.
Just noticed that.
There you go. So in answer to that question, yes, sometimes I think they have gone. We know companies who are kind of halfway through the interview process. Maybe the LinkedIn job has just automatically reposted. Sometimes companies have to advertise just due to their process, even though they've got someone lined up. But I guess the nature of the beast is that you don't know. No one knows unless you're in that company, or you have, a dial into the company gossip. So I think you've still got to just apply for it. You do see jobs that kind of appear and reappear and reappear. No one's ever sure if they're filled or if it's just an automatic thing. But I think if you like the look of the job, I would still apply. And again, as James said earlier, try and find someone in that company that's either involved with the hiring process or just at a relatively senior level, and ask them the question whether they are still hiring.
I think what brings sanity to the job search, or to your job search, or anyone's job search, is almost the measurement. So if I always advise people not to. What happens is sometimes people decide they're looking for a job. It's like going to the gym, right? You do 100 sit-ups for 7 days. I'm confident you're not getting a six-pack at the end of that 7 days. But if you go twice a week for a year, then it's all good. And I think looking for a job is quite similar. People tend to go really crazy for the first 2 weeks, then struggle or don't get the traction, and then kind of go, oh well, it's just not worth it, and pack in the hunt. I think the whole career development thing should be absolutely ongoing, and I think people should be dedicated, if it's half an hour a week, to making sure they're networking, they're doing the right thing, they're get yourself an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, I applied for a job at here 2 weeks ago, it's popped up again. Like Chris said, there's all sorts of automations and bots and algorithms that go on beyond LinkedIn that we can understand. But if you're measuring, you can see the timeline, track. I approached the CSO then. Now I'm going to try someone else. Now I'm going to try someone else. It brings sanity to the whole looking for a job and developing your career if you can compartmentalize. Otherwise, it just becomes really messy. And that easy apply button is a nightmare, because it's really easy to apply for 1,000 jobs and then just say, well, it's not me, it's them. It's generally you.
Theo's asked about pictures. So with the slight disclaimer that some countries it's culturally a thing to have a picture on a CV, I would say no. I've said several times that you're either too ugly or too good looking, and either way is going to annoy people. So I'm not sure pictures on CVs are a value add. If you are going to do it, and again, some countries and regions are quite kind of pro photos on CVs, do a professional picture. Go to your local store and get a proper picture. We still see comedy pictures of people in the gym with guns. The wedding photo with your ex-wife has been cut off, but you can still see half her arm. If you are going to do a picture, definitely do something slightly more professional. You want a business picture on there, not a comedy picture. So I personally wouldn't put one on, but I'm too ugly. So there you go.
Not in the gym with guns, it's worth pointing out.
No, that's true.
There's a question about age at the top. I don't. There isn't an age. Security is a second career as well. I think it's one of the. It's a really interesting. It's a difficult subject. It's obviously a controversial subject, but I think it's one of the most diverse professions you can kind of with the broadest age demographic. So no, I don't think. To me, age just doesn't ever come up with us ever.
No. And I think some industries are culturally. I mean, the cliche is tech, isn't it? It's culturally a younger industry than maybe oil or banking or whatever. But the reality is they hire lots of young people, but they also hire lots of older people as well. So.